Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool and Ethereum ecosystems. My name is Wack. Today is August 4th, and today's episode is going to cover the 10th anniversary of Ethereum that happened last week. Oh yeah, by the way, it's been a few days since I made an episode, so there's going to be a lot of old news in this episode. On the Rocket Pool side, we're going to be talking about rETH. We're going to be talking about new smart node. On the staking side, we're going to be talking about the ETHStaker survey results and a vulnerability with Lido CSM. And on the Ethereum side, we're going to be talking about lean Ethereum and what that means. We're also going to be talking about the SEC, ETFs, strategic ETH reserve, new L2s, and a whole lot more. So let's get started.
10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Okay, so the place to start today is with this announcement and a whole lot of celebrations about the 10th anniversary of Ethereum. And the Ethereum Foundation, the website ethereum.org, had a special page for the 10 years. So celebrating 10 years of decentralization, community building, DeFi, developer growth, all sorts of really, really amazing things. And then just saying that, they've transformed the world one block at a time. You could mint an NFT for free, which was really cool. Just pay for gas costs on mainnet. And other than that, there was a live stream that you could watch on there were parties all around the world. People celebrating Ethereum here. Like you could see, there was 19 parties in Africa, 25 parties in Asia, 19 parties in Central and South America, 43 parties in Europe, 15 parties in North America, 5 parties in Oceania, and 13 parties in Southeast Asia. So there was a whole lot of celebrating going on, celebrating 10 years of Ethereum. And it really did mark a special moment, I think, in the wider community. There were a lot of really interesting takes. Sha Wei here had a comment about it, saying 10 years ago, Ethereum was just an idea. Today, the ecosystem sets out to bring Ethereum to billions across the globe. I'm grateful for how it's brightened my life over the past 8 colorful years. And without your involvement, the next decade will be even more inspiring. So then Sha Wei goes and talks on about how ETH is going to change in 10 years and what it's going to look like, and what the Ethereum Foundation and Sha Wei are doing to kind of make that happen, which of course is really awesome. Also, there was Lefteris talking about actually launching Ethereum 10 years ago. So saying it was this day 10 years ago that we changed the world forever with a small team of hackers in the office in Berlin. And we just had launched the Ethereum network. The rest is history. 10 years, looking back, excited about the next 10 years, next 25, next 100. What will the next generation do with our creation? What will you build on Ethereum? So that's really, really cool signaling there. The Ethereum Foundation themselves, had that video live stream that I was talking to you about. You can go watch that recording on YouTube if you didn't watch it live. There were some really cool people sharing nice stories and messaging on there. That was awesome. Josh Stark here of the Ethereum Foundation was talking about 10 years ago, the Ethereum Foundation reached into the future and grabbed a firm hold onto it. It was a sci-fi idea, plan that we took and presented. And it says in 10 years, we've gained confidence, stand on our feet, firmer foundations. We celebrate how far we've come, but standing taller doesn't mean standing still. And then there was a lot of this messaging about what we're going to do in the next 100 years and all sorts. So yeah, there was some really, really nice messaging here. And next, we even had the Rocket Pool team putting out messaging just like a whole lot of other teams did. And they said that Ethereum Genesis block was created 10 years ago today, and Rocket Pool has been proudly working to support a healthy proof of stake system for nearly as long. No other protocol has helped more node operators to keep Ethereum resilient, credibly neutral, and censorship free. So there was some, like I said, there's some really, really nice messaging from the wider crypto. There was everyone kind of got involved in this, and it was actually really cool to see. And if you have a look, there was this messaging kind of going around about all the different teams that have come out and said they believe in something, which was kind of became the unofficial motto of Ethereum. And then there was a whole lot of different groups here saying that they believe in something. So yeah, this is really, really cool to see. Absolutely awesome. And it's can't believe it's been 10 years. I haven't been in Ethereum since the beginning, but I got in 2017. So I can't believe it's been 8 years for me too. So it's a big chunk of my life that I've spent being in crypto and around Ethereum. And yeah, I think the next 10 are going to be so exciting as we watch kind of Ethereum take over the whole world. It's going to be really fun. Okay, let's move on to some Rocket Pool news. And in Rocket Pool news, we have this smart node update from Fornax saying we have version 1.17.1. It fixes a few issues and there's some client updates. So the Nethermind, rETH, and Teku updates and the smart node changes. There's default gas limits that have changed, and there's some small errors that have been fixed, and fixed a duplicate key issue as well. So this was, I think, just update when you want kind of update, and yeah, you're welcome to do that whenever you want. Okay, and last week we had rewards night, and the rewards were locked in at around 0.0194 RPL to ETH, and rewards night went through without a hitch, so that is of course always good to see. And yeah, you can see here that the ODAO got in their tree submitted quite well, and it didn't take too long to get it all done. So there you go. The reward snapshot was published just like a couple of hours after the rewards period ended. So that was good to see for sure. Okay, there was an on-chain vote that kind of slipped under the radar a little bit. There wasn't anything promoting it or talking about it, and it was Hululu who kind of reminded me that it was actually even happening. So this was on-chain proposal 4, and this was to set up the next 6 months worth of payments for the IMC. You set it up as a transaction, and it all happens like automatically because it executes the code. And this is replacement for the Guardian wallet. So Hululu voted, and Ramana voted, Dr. Doofus voted, Scuzzle voted, Valdorf voted, and Darren voted, and then a whole bunch of other people voted to get us close to that quorum line. But I think we kind of stalled a little bit there. So Hululu pinged me. Well, he actually put it in. He had put it in submissions. So I saw it and I was like, oh wait, I haven't voted yet. So then I voted and got us over the quorum. And this is, like I said, this is an on-chain vote. So what happens with this is that 1 week period has finished for that voting, and then there's a period of 5 days where you can override, 7-day period where you can override the vote of the people that you delegated to. I don't expect this to have anyone override this vote, so it most likely will go through at 100%. It already hit quorum, so that's really cool, and it just means that the next 6 months of the IMC payments will just happen automatically, which of course is nice. Okay, Samus here had some ideas of how to protect our ETH into Saturn 2 and making sure that we let people exit at the peg instead of selling their rETH on the secondary market and potentially getting a discount on those sales. Here he put a GitHub together so we can go and actually have a look at that and see what it says. So this is RPIP 73, rETH protection, and the abstract is this proposal defines how Rocket Pool will use a strike system to force exit significantly underperforming megapool validators. So actually, yeah, I was mistaken. Sorry about that. This was to make sure that we can exit the underperforming ones. And now the benefit of this will be that we can have the APR increase for our ETH because we won't have the drag on the protocol. And this is actually really good for making sure that we Rocket Pool as a protocol is just operating at the best level. So the motivation is Rocket Pool node operators have been expected to perform well. Underperformance results in missed attestation penalties that adds up and causes loss of rewards. So despite incentives, some node operators significantly underperform with validators offline for extended periods of time, e.g. abandoned validators. So this underperformance results reduces the relative value of our ETH as yield losses are socialized across all our ETH holders. So it says historically it's been impossible for Rocket Pool to force exit significantly underperforming validators, but with EIP 7002 it'll be possible to protect our ETH value by exiting significantly underperforming mega pool validators. So this RPIP proposes this functionality to improve our ETH yield and provide the market with a more competitive liquid staking token. So there's specifications how this will work. So there'll be strike systems. So each mega pool validator shall be assigned a validator strikes variable that is initially set to 0, and then this strike ejection threshold are set to 3, and then there shall be a protocol-wide parameter strike ejection penalty that is initially set to 0.25 ETH, and then the strike ejection penalties shall be added to the debt of the mega pool for each validator under the condition, blah, blah, blah. And then as they build up strikes, basically, then they'll get kicked out. So this has been an ongoing discussion in the Rocket Pool community under this governance thread. And you can go read it. It has people like Steely, Noshua, and Val, and others who are sharing their ideas and their thoughts about how people should and shouldn't be exited. And I think Langer's got involved as well, and then Langer's got involved as well, I think, or maybe not. So yeah, but you can follow the discussion and share your opinions if you have any. Okay, next we have this update from Vaca, and this is an update for the pDAO treasury report, and it says that the pDAO reserve received 5,500 RPL from inflation. Balance is now 102,000 RPL. The IMC got their fourth of 5 recurring payments of 11,000 RPL, and the GMC claimed their third of 9 payments of 5,500 RPL. The balance is set at negative 82 RPL and negative 187 RPL, but this will be zeroed out by the time of the last payment, which of course is good. But yeah, that's a nice little update from Vaca to let us know that the balances are looking a little bit better than they were, especially that pDAO, like that our current prices is worth around 700,000, just a little bit over $700,000. It's not that much money, but as RPL price increases, then hopefully that will be worth a lot more. Okay, let's move on to some staking news now, and the bit of staking news that we're going to start with is this report from ETHStaker. So this is Staking Survey 2025 results, and they're saying that this was a survey collected a few months ago, and I covered that Rocket Fuel a few times for you guys to answer the survey, and they talked about what things are on the minds of stakers. So there's some question about the methodology here, about how they got in touch with stakers, where they found them, sampling bias, and how much coverage does the data give. So here they have some nice information about like what the results look like. So it says 23% reported Genesis stakers versus 32% last year. So it looks like the proportion of Genesis stakers went down a little bit. After that, most reported starting in Q1 or 2 of 2023. And that's about 13% of people, that cohort there. And then we also had 60% managing their own capital, run between 1 to 5 validators, and 20% run 6 to 15. 47% hold some liquid staking tokens, same as last year. Special software used to stake. 39% doesn't use specialized software, while 18% used Rocket Pool, and 13% used AppNode, and 10% used ETHDocker. And then staking services like all nodes was leading, followed by ETHPool and Kiln. And top ranked reasons for running a validator was to benefit the network, minimize trust assumptions, and maximize profitability. And 23% ran a fallback node, similar to last year's levels. And a lot of people, smoothing pool performance participation fell, 26% versus 30% last year, and more respondents were unfamiliar with the concept in 2025 compared to 2024. So there's a lot of cool questions here, like when did you start running a validator? How many validators do you run? What kind of how do you set up your validators with your own capital? And here Rocket Pool was overrepresented at like 20%, which is really cool. And it says for the ETH in your validators, why did you choose to run a validator instead of using a liquid staking token? People want to benefit the network, which of course is really, really cool to see. And then what software do you use to help? And here 18% said Rocket Pool, which is really cool. 39% said no software, they just followed a guide that had the information on it. And then we had a primary execution client, Nethermind, is up at number 1 compared to last year as well, but its lead actually grew a little bit. Geth's lead grew a little bit as well. It was Besu that lost some market share, and then rETH gained market share and Eragon stayed the same. And primary consensus Lighthouse is a supermajority, no, sorry, not supermajority, a majority right now above the 33% threshold. So maybe people can move over to like Nimbus or Teku or something and try to balance things out a little bit more. And people stake between 66% and 100% of their ETH, which is really cool. Then they had concerns here. Biggest concern is risk to Ethereum, protocol price or want capital out, a supermajority client loss. This is actually way down compared to last year, which is really good. Hardware upgrade costs, etc., privacy, etc. So there were some issues that really do impact node operators there. And then talking about how problematic the state of centralization is currently. So people said, this is somewhat concerning, I guess. And the numbers are quite similar to last year for somewhat concerning, but on the higher end, people saying existential, those numbers actually went down, which is good, and I think that's tied to Lido's majority coming down from that 30% number or that area where it was last year compared to where it is now. So that of course is good to see. Now, in your opinion, how problematic is a supermajority risk client diversity to the network at the current moment? And people here as well, the existential worries have gone down quite a lot, and people are just saying it's somewhat a risk. So then there's some explanation of the results, and then have your views on the value of solo staking changed? And people are now saying it's less favorable, which is really interesting, and the more favorable number has come down. And then how have your views on the value of solo staking for an individual changed since you first began? And now people are now saying less favorable as well. And as a staker, how do you feel your interests are represented? And most people are kind of neutral on this. And then how do you feel about existing advocacy for the home and solo stakers? So most of the answers were positive, saying there are actors who do their best, and most people there were very few people who said that they feel like they're not represented at all. And then with Pectra adoption, some people were migrating soon after the feature is live, but others, they're not sure about it or they're still waiting. And then again, it's the same thing with stake that they're running. And then is there a plan to migrate to type 2 validators for your staking as service-based stake? And people said this is the first they've heard about it. So there's definitely some gaps there. Now, with hardware and bandwidth, this is actually a really interesting topic, because with bandwidth, it's going to impact how we can upgrade Ethereum. And there are already some interesting answers that are coming through here. So how many hours a month would you say? Very few hours a month. RAM, most people use 32 gigabytes. SSD, most people say they use 2 terabytes. What's your current home network bandwidth? So this is upload bandwidth. So 20% basically of people are saying it's less than 50 megabits per second. So that is actually going to impact, future EIPs where they want to increase the upload speed required to above 50 megabits per second. So that's one to have a look at. Potentially it could lead to 20% of the network falling off, which of course is what we don't want. So what's your current home network bandwidth? Advertised download, most people have about a gigabyte basically, which is really nice. And highest available upload, most people here, a lot of people are saying basically a gigabyte per second, but a good chunk of people 13% saying less than 50 megabits per second, and then 9% saying somewhere between 50 and 99. So those areas are kind of one to keep an eye out for, definitely. And the highest available bandwidth, a lot of people here are saying about a gigabyte, and it looks like those speeds are quite good. People do allow to keep stake going, and most people are happy to keep it going. And what is the specific threshold under which you would exit your validators? So if the rewards fall between 1.5% and 2.5%, most people kind of exit there. A big chunk of people would exit between 2.5 and 3.5 as well, which is kind of where we are right now. So, people will maybe start making those decisions about exiting their validators at some point. And it says, what's the specific threshold under which you would stop adding new stake? And then they're the same kind of numbers, really. So where do people learn about staking? This is actually really cool. A lot of people said, ETHStaker docs or communities, and the Rocket Pool resources and support. 126 people answered that that's the information that they go to. And then where do you get your news? People said Twitter, Reddit, various Discords, Daily Way, and Bankless, and then a whole bunch of other people as well. I'd like to say that this section here, other podcast YouTube channel, hopefully people are talking about rocket fuel there, but maybe they're not, I don't know. And then how do you keep up with the validator updates? Most people get their updates from Discord. And then there's some open-ended questions and concerns as well. So yeah, it's a really nice report. If you want to go have a look at that, you can check it all out. It's got some really, really cool information. So definitely go and have a look at that. And, this is actually always really nice to look at annually. It always has good information. And then Jasper here tweeted about it, said the Rocket Pool protocol has added more real security to Ethereum than any other decentralized application. Just look at the ETHStaker survey, how many validators started their journey and continue with Rocket Pool, from decentralization maxis to BTCS, and Rocket Pool is here. So we cover all the validators that you can get. We represent everyone, which is really cool. Okay, sticking with staking news now, there was a vulnerability with Lido CSM. And they put a tweet out about it, and there's a post-mortem as well. There have been no funds have been lost. Nothing is at risk of being lost right now. And the report came through Immunify, so White Hat responsibly disclosed the information and did everything there. So there's more information in the post-mortem here. So it says a White Hat security researcher identified and reported a vulnerability in CSM's usage of beacon block routes for validator withdrawal verification. It says the researcher communicated the vulnerability to Lido contributors through the Immunify program. The vulnerability was mitigated by a combination of off-chain Oracle improvements and a minor modification to CSM version 1 on-chain code following a Lido DAO vote. The vulnerability was never exploited and user and node operator funds were not affected. So a permanent long-term fix is planned with the launch of CSM 2 in September. So this is great that, no one got hurt with this. And I'm glad that the person who disclosed this, did it responsibly through Immunify. What's really good here is that, it shows the importance of having something like Immunify and about how bug bounties are extremely valuable to protocols, because most of the time white hackers will actually like to do the responsible thing and report through Immunify, but you kind of have to make it worth their while to kind of poke around your code and see what they can find, because it could be that there's they just won't bother with it if the numbers aren't strong enough. So that's definitely really important for protocols to keep doing that. Okay, we've got a couple of client updates here. One is Nimbus. It says this is medium urgency release, fixing a potential syncing related crash. So if you're a Nimbus user, you might want to fix this sooner rather than later. And then there is also an update from Nethermind here. It says fix the peer discovery issue. So this is good. So after the geth 1.16.0 release, there was a sudden drop in discovered Nethermind nodes in network crawlers. This version exposed one edge case issue, which is much more likely to happen and now addressed. So that got fixed as well. That was 1.32.4 for Nethermind. So yeah. Okay, let's go to the Ethereum news now. And with the 10th anniversary out of the way, Justin Drake started very quickly looking forward for the next 10 years and talked about the Beam chain actually becoming something called the Lean chain vision. So here Justin Drake says, yesterday Ethereum turned 10. Today Lean Ethereum is unveiled as a vision and personal mission for the next 10 years. So it says, we stand at the dawn of a new era, millions of TPS, quantum adversaries. How does Ethereum marry extreme performance with uncompromising security and decentralization? So the TLDR is that next generation cryptography is central to winning both offense and defense. So the idea, of course, here is that, they're going to ZKify a mainnet, and then there's going to be a whole lot of developments happening on the L2 as well. And the goal is in 10 years time, they want to go something called beast mode, which is gigagas on mainnet, which is 10,000 transactions per second. And then Teragas on L2s, which is 1 million transactions per second, and something, increasing both of those. And there's ideas of how to, lay the path for this to happen. And the way is with, this Lean Ethereum this lean Ethereum mindset, which is really cool. So they're going to be using lean upgrades, lean cryptography, lean craft, and lean legacy as well. So this was a really cool, inspiring update from Justin Drake, and I'm really excited to see how it's all going to develop and grow and be here for the next 10 years. Okay, so next we've got some of the most bullish news probably for crypto ever. This is absolutely amazing. So there was a speech given by Paul Atkins, who's the chairman of the SEC, called American Leadership in the Digital Finance Revolution. And he put together the most bullish pro-crypto stance I've ever seen from any regulatory body in the world, and just massively bullish crypto and like Ethereum, really. So he says that, evolution of crypto markets from Bretton Woods to blockchain, and talking about how the financial systems have changed and what's happening with all of those and how things are growing. And what we see here is that he kind of goes into history of it, but then wants to forge the future basically of finance, and how he thinks that blockchain is going to enable a new golden age of finance. And he wants all of crypto to come back to the US. So onshoring crypto, a new day at the SEC. And they want to enhance freedom and choice amongst custodians and trading venues, and facilitating super apps, horizontal integration of product offerings, and unleashing US markets' big, beautiful on-chain software systems, fostering innovation, commercial viability is our true north. So there was a whole lot of really positive content in here. You can listen to the speech. One thing that was really interesting here is if you have a look at this footnote 22, this is for additional information on the ERC 3643 protocol, see our information about permission tokens and others. So this is very Ethereum coded. The big beneficiary of this would be Ethereum by bringing these markets on chain. It's actually really amazing. Eric here kind of gave a breakdown of what's going on. So he says, Paul Atkins unveiled sweeping reforms to make the US the global hub for crypto, and he named Ethereum as key infrastructure. Let's break it down. So he says, ETH is not a security, clear token frameworks, on-chain finance greenlit, and support for tokenized assets. And then he said that, we are... this is going to be on blockchain, not private ledgers. So he's definitely talking about public blockchains, which of course is awesome. And then he says Ethereum is the obvious. This is Eric saying that Ethereum is the obvious layer for this. So then they kind of talk about the history and say that this is going to be bigger than the ETF basically, and Ethereum is going to be the global digital asset backbone. So yeah, very, very exciting times, and it's really cool to see. I got into a bit of a discussion here with John. John was like, "This is bearish for Ethereum." And I was like, his mistake is not thinking this through to the next step. So he was saying what will happen is you'll get silos of banks and financial institutions, and they're going to not basically need Ethereum decentralization, because the assets that they'll be bringing on chain will have, the root of trust will be off chain anyway, real life paperwork or whatever bank databases. So I said your mistake is not thinking this through to the next step. If everyone builds a private blockchain, then how do you interoperate with other blockchains? Which one will be the root of trust? The unlock from building on a public blockchain, even using an L2 on Ethereum, is the trustlessness. Any organization can work with any other and know everything will be all good. I said also the Lindy effects of everyone building on one ecosystem massively outweighs the making your own chain. Liquidity begets liquidity, and it's an amazing flywheel. So why would organizations want to close themselves off from that? So that there was a lot of bullishness in this messaging, which of course is really great to see. Now, that wasn't the only bullishness about Ethereum this week. We had more treasury companies go live. One was ETHZilla. So they said, they kind of tap into this 10 years of ETH thing. And they said today, ahead of Ethereum's anniversary, we're thrilled to announce ETHZilla, a NASDAQ listed treasury vehicle for Ethereum, but for Ethereum by Ethereum. So they've got a ticker there as well. And they're saying that they, want to tap the $60 billion of assets, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And they are raising money. People really like the name ETHZilla, kind of tying in with this like Ethereum themed Godzilla kind of information. And then we got another team launched as well, and this is FG Nexus. They are raising $200 million for their launch, and then more after that probably. Let's move on to some news here about eToro. So they are bringing stocks on chain, and they want to do it using Ethereum. So eToro to launch tokenized US stocks on the Ethereum blockchain. They actually mentioned Ethereum there. So this just, that step of more real world assets, more TradFi institutions coming online, coming on to Ethereum, which of course is what we want. Now, we had a whole bunch of updates about the ETFs from the SEC and others as well. Now, this is actually really, really interesting news here, where they said that they're going to allow in-kind redemptions for your crypto. So it means that you can now deposit ETH into the ETH ETF, and when it comes time to withdraw, you can withdraw ETH from there as well. You don't have to deposit dollars. They convert it to hold ETH, and then they give you dollars back when you want it out. No, none of that's going to happen. It's just going to be ETH in and ETH out if you want to do that, which of course is really exciting. Now, Paul Atkins here says, pleased to share the SEC approved in-kind creations and redemptions for crypto ETPs. The approvals continue to build rational regulatory framework for crypto, leading to a deeper and more dynamic market, which will benefit all American investors. So that is really, really good. DC Investor here says this is good for BTC, but it's ultra huge deal for ETH. Basically, all the ETH in the ETFs will be redeemable for real ETH, which you can then use on chain without a changed cost basis or need to sell. Now, that's the key part here, is that you can, you don't have to realize profits in terms of needing to move. And he says many have noted that this will only apply to authorized participants, meaning the big boys will have the ability to do this. And he's saying what I'm hoping is that they'll be able to batch those conversion orders for the real clients sooner rather than later. He says we could be years from that point, but until then there's no replacement for spot ETH, which of course is what we all hold and which we should be holding. And then we had a couple of updates from Nate here, Nate Garassi, saying that staking in ETFs is coming soon. So he says today the SEC acknowledged iShares, that's the BlackRock ETF for Ethereum, acknowledged that they want to start staking. And he says that my guess is this is next on the SEC's list. It's going to happen sooner rather than later, and it's going to happen before any new cryptos come on the scene, any new crypto ETPs come on the scene. And then here as well, there was an idea of setting up a standard framework. So CBOE requesting a rule change. So he says, in other words, issuers wouldn't have to request specific approval for each crypto as long as certain criteria are met. So if they can set the criteria, then they could technically just they could use that to get ETFs through the door more quickly, which doesn't really apply to Ethereum, I guess, unless new products want to come online, but it's for the wider crypto market. So that's pretty cool. Okay, there was an all-core devs meeting on Thursday last week, and this had some interesting information. So Christine Kim provided a summary of it. She said that Fusaka DevNet 3 is stable, a client MEV workflow debugging work is ongoing, and then there was some concerns about EIP 7825. The transaction gas limit cap in Fusaka will certainly break certain DeFi app functionalities. So there was developers will leave the EIP unchanged for now and wait for more data analysis about that. And then Dimi Gusakov proposes change to EIP 7594 pDAO to keep hardware requirements low for home stakers staking through Lido CSM. And then there was talk of other EIPs, what they should be tabling, what they should be pushing forward. And there was a tentative timeline here that's really interesting to see. So tentative timeline for the Fusaka is Haleshki on the week of September 17th or the 15th, Sepolia week of September 15th or 22nd, Hoodie week of 22nd or October 13th, and Mainnet the week of November 3rd, which would give people a week before DevCon to get it all done, which is really exciting information there. And I think it's going to be quite tight here. Nixo had update on the same thing, and she was saying that how is it going to work? Do we want to fork Haleshki or not? And how will audits fit into this? Like, is it possible to get it all done? Yeah, getting it out before DevConnect is going to be tight, but possible. So yeah, that's really exciting. And there was more discussion about Glamsterdam as well. So yeah, Christine Kim and Nixo now provide updates on this stuff. So if you are interested, you can go check out their updates and read their summaries, which is cool. Okay, Linnea, the L2 from Consensus, kind of dialing things up a little bit here, trying to show how they're ETH aligned. So I said we're setting up a new standard for Ethereum L2s, introducing native ETH yield, protocol level ETH burn, and an Ethereum native consortium to manage the largest ecosystem fund in the space. So it says this is how we're going to build L2 where Ethereum wins. So what they're saying is that Linnea will be the first L2 to burn ETH at the protocol level. So as they get sequencer fees, they'll be burning 20% of those. And then all bridged ETH will generate DeFi rewards. So ETH deposits will produce staking rewards to be distributed to liquidity providers, fueling Linnea's DeFi ecosystem. So I'm not sure if they're going to be doing that on the back end, kind of like blasted, or if there'll be some kind of opt-in mechanism, but that's going to be interesting. And then Ethereum's largest ecosystem fund, Linnea's token echoes the distribution of the Ethereum Genesis claim and puts the ecosystem first, directing the majority of funds towards users, builders, Ethereum public goods, R&D. So 85% will go to ecosystem, 75% development fund, and 10% early users. And then there's 15% that will go to Consensus Treasury with a 5-year lockup. No insiders, no value extraction, just Ethereum. So that's actually really nice distribution there. It's going to be interesting to see how they manage that 75% development fund. But I'm hoping some of this money will come to stakers. Yeah, that would be nice if stakers could get an airdrop for this. And then there's fund management information as well, and how they are Ethereum, how they want to align economics. And it looks like they're going to try to get a chunk of that $100 billion in staked ETH and get that there. So yeah, Linnea definitely making a push for trying to gain dominance in the L2 space. But it's a tough game out there right now. It's really, really tough. Here, there's a new L2 that's launching as well. And James has information about this, saying that it's Signet and they are going to testnet soon. And they've got built-in features such as instant cross-chain trades using conditional transactions. So there's no stack rollup, it's from scratch, and they don't borrow code from any of the existing rollups. There's no bridge rollup, so transaction with Ethereum is instant, and Signet inherits Ethereum's liquidity. And yeah, there's it's a no bullshit rollup, no debates about alignment or stages, no token, no DAO. They're simply scaling Ethereum, and there's information there as well. So it sounds really promising. I don't know too much about it, but that was a nice little announcement from them. So you can go and check that out and see if they align with your values. Okay, let's talk about the strategic ETH reserves, because we've got a whole week full of updates on there. One of the updates was from BTCS, who are saying they want to raise up to $2 billion to acquire ETH. At the time that message came out, they had 70,000 ETH. They're hoping to get a lot more than that. We also had Jasper saying that some of that ETH will be coming to Rocket Pool, and you are not bullish on Rocket Pool. I have to say that basically. And then Fabrice had some more updates about the Ether machine buying tens of thousands of ETH there as well, which is really cool to see. Bitmine going up to 625,000 ETH. I've got another update on them in a minute. SBET going up to 438,000 ETH. They're going to have a new update tomorrow, so I'm expecting that number to be a lot higher. But this is actually from a few days ago, so let's have a look at this strategic ETH reserve. Right now, I'm just going to refresh the page, but Bitmine have stormed ahead, and they are now at 833,000 ETH, which is $3.1 billion worth of ETH, which is a truly, truly astonishing number. I can't believe that. I'm kind of just like gobsmacked by that. It's really, really amazing. Sharplink, like I said, they're going to have their update tomorrow. I think they're going to go up to 500,000 with tomorrow's announcement. So they're slightly falling behind. Ether Machine has really stepped up in a big way. They're about 345,000 now. Ethereum Foundation has been pushed down to number 4. And I'm thinking that, within a few weeks, maybe a couple of months, they might actually be down out of the top 5, because Bit Digital is 120,000. And like I said, BTCS, they're looking to raise $2 billion. So they're going to be jumping up that ranking very soon as well. They're in the top 10 now. So yeah, there's a huge amount of activity going on with these treasury vehicles, and yeah, I'm really happy that they're buying all this ETH. Okay, let's move on to some crypto news now. And there was a huge report put out by the White House called Strengthening American Leadership in Digital Financial Technology. And this was what Paul Atkins referenced a little bit. But in this, they talk about digital asset ecosystem, digital asset market structure, banking and digital assets, stablecoins and payments, countering illicit finance, and taxation issues as well. And they've got it's 166 pages. And there's some summary thread here from Rebecca, who did a review of the whole document, and it kind of goes through it all. But yeah, this people thought was really bullish, and there's a whole lot of really like pro crypto things in there. So it looks like this SEC is really lining up to be a huge force for crypto, and that of course is pretty cool. Oh, sorry, I opened that twice. Coinbase. Well, it's not just Coinbase here, but like there's a whole lot of links happening between crypto and the traditional banking sector. So Coinbase here have said that they're partnering with Chase. So if you're a Chase Bank customer, you're going to have some really exciting things coming to your bank account soon. And this is going to be like using Chase credit cards directly on Coinbase. It's also going to mean that if you're using a credit card, you can redeem that instead of for cash, you can redeem that for USDC and go directly on chain with it. And then there's going to be links between Coinbase accounts and Chase Bank to make bridging TradFi to crypto a lot easier. They've got an announcement with their partnership there. Yeah, some people were not happy with Chase because of their actions, anti-crypto actions a few years ago, but it looks like they're trying to get on the right side of those customers now. But Bitwise here had information of which banks and institutions are now adopting crypto. And this is just like the most incredible document. So it's a list of some of the biggest financial institutions, and where they stand on crypto, and are they crypto trading and custody? Do they do private crypto funds? Do they have ETFs? Do they have crypto enabled payments? And are they doing tokenization? And a whole lot of this table now is filled with and these are like the biggest names of finance in the world, right? So it's like Bank of America, BlackRock, BNY Mellon, CBOE, Charles Schwab, Citibank, CME, Deutsche Bank, and Fidelity, HSBC, London Stock Exchange, MasterCard, Visa, PayPal, like the biggest financial companies in the world. And all of them now have some involvement with crypto, which is really amazing to see. So yeah, it's all becoming one. Okay, there was an interesting tweet out here from Jito, trying to reach out to the SEC and saying that the staking, enabling staking in the ETFs should be possible for them to use LSTs, which are liquid staking tokens, like rETH from Rocket Pool, or Lido's STETH, or I guess Jito's Sol as well, because this Jito is of course a Solana ecosystem token, project. Jasper says sometimes we're on the same side. Huge shout out to Rebecca and co at Jito Labs. LST should be baked into ETPs for both Solana and Ethereum for user safety. Bullish Rocket Pool, the most decentralized LST on any network. So this is definitely a strong possibility for Rocket Pool to try to capture some of that, some of those inflows, and I think it could be very exciting. Now, finally, today's episode, I was hoping that we would have some kind of conclusion to this, and hopefully we would have had good news. But as of last Thursday, the jury in Roman Storm's trial, the Tornado Cash trial, has been deliberating about whether or not Roman is guilty, and we still don't have a decision on this, which is just ridiculous because they started deliberating on Thursday. They had Friday off, and then today it looks like they might be taking some time off for the next couple of days as well. So I think the judge kind of wants to rush them into a decision a little bit, but it seems like the jury's taking their sweet time about it. Inner City Press here have had some good information about them going away for the weekend, but even today, like there was updates from Inner City Press talking about why the deliberations haven't gone through yet. So let's see. Sorry, I should have had those tweets opened up. Yeah, so here's the Roman Storms information, and the place they ended up today was that yeah, one of the jurors' mother's birthday, and it's going to be an all-day affair tomorrow, which is Tuesday, and I think it's going to impact jury deliberations. So here, the jury said they will leave today at 4 p.m. and propose to deliberate tomorrow morning until 12:30, and then the next day is to 3:45 on Friday until 1 p.m. And yeah, just tell them to see them tomorrow. But I don't think the judge was happy, but I don't think there was much they could do. But there was no decision today, so hopefully there'll be a decision tomorrow, and hopefully Roman will be found not guilty. Here, Jake says that when there is a wait to a delay, basically in the jury reaching a verdict, it tends to be that. It tends to be slightly more positive for the defense. In this case, it'd be Roman. But he was just kind of talking through what the outcomes are and how does it work. Basically, like there could be a hung jury where there's just no verdict reached, and then the prosecution has the choice of doing a trial again, or whether they just want to leave it. Or, if he is innocent, then of course that will be that. And if he's guilty, then what might happen for appeals. But there's some interesting information here as well. So Roman is still looking for donations, especially if he is found guilty, which, we hope that doesn't happen. Then he's looking for donations. And if you want, you can, donate money to him. But yeah, on that note, I'm going to end today's episode. Sorry that I have not been around for a few days, but I think everything's going to be good from this week going forwards. But thank you for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. I hope you all have a lovely day ahead, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.